Hey, Keystone. Hi, Karen. Good to have you. For those of you that don't know, Keystone Small Animal Transport just joined our. Now, turn this camera down so you can see the dogs a little better. We're going to get them over to us in a few minutes here. Hawkeye's wrestling right in front of the camera. Come here, Hawk. For those of you that don't know, you just saw Keystone Small Animal Transport join the live feed. Karen, I've known her for a couple of years now. She has transported some dogs for us, like Ben, for instance. She also transports for Perfect Imperfections, Special Needs Rescue. She has a special needs dog of her own. If you guys need transport assistance, Keystone Small Animal is the one I want to recommend highly. I would trust them with any of our dogs, and I have. She's got a special needs dog of her own, so she understands what's going on.
Hattie says the dogs are frisky.
They are all.
Says she can hear you. Mary says we've got sound.
They're all wound up today. I got Roxy here and Hawkeye. Wyatt, you can't quite see him because Hawkeye's in the way. And we've got Fem. We've got Journey behind the camera. She'll come over. So the short version is, if you need transport, Karen is the one to go to. Small Animal Transport, and I will, if you can't remember that, message the page, and I can send you to her. So, good morning. Thank you for your patience. Today is December 13th. We have a few things to cover. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me over top of the dogs wrestling. Hey guys, why don't you come wrestle over here so they can see you? Come here, guys. Come here, guys. Here we go. Finn, Wyatt, Roxy, Hawkeye. Journey will come over as soon as she figures out the treats. Here she comes. If the camera moves, it's because it's on my coffee table, and Journey doesn't have the best balance, which is all right. We love Journey. She's perfect the way she is. So that'll keep the dogs over here. So we have a few things to cover today. It is going to be kind of all over the map. If you can't stay for the whole video, we have started posting these on our YouTube channel. The link should be on your screen or in the comments somewhere. So you can always go back and watch replay. The YouTube channel, we're also going to start posting some of the funny short little 2-minute videos of the dogs. We need to try and hit about 40 subscribers or 50 subscribers so that we can do more with YouTube. That will open up some additional features for us. So even if you don't want to watch us on YouTube, I'd really appreciate it if you go to our channel with the link and just hit subscribe, and then you can ignore it if you want. We need to hit 40 or 50 subscribers. Coming in January, so one of the changes we're going to be making is we're going to talk about it in a second, but we need to start building our YouTube channel so we can help more people. So because we got screwed up, I want to say thank you, first of all, for all of your support this year. It's been a hard year, financially and also with finding fosters. And we're going to take those things, and that's what we're going to work on next year. But I wanted to say thanks. Giving Tuesday, we raised about $1,700, which was a little less than our goal, but we had some major contributors to that, and we are so thankful. We have a handful of monthly donors, which makes it so easy for us to try and budget for medical needs and food and medications. We've got a lot of people that have been sending supplies the last couple of months, which is always great. Our friend Emily and also Patty, who's online, sends treats for the dogs, and they just absolutely love them. And you know, we try to do a lot of treats when we can, but that eats into our budget. We have to have a budget for the medical care for these guys and the equipment. Like Mila's wheelchairs, I spend about $1,000 a year to get her 2 wheelchairs. She's not on camera today. We had her out here. Her nickname's Mila the Destroyer for a reason. She runs right through these guys. And between the camera being on the coffee table and the dogs here, it was just not good to have Mila here. So she's in the other room.
Tasha Prasad's up early. She's joining us. Mindy says, hello, neighbors.
Hey, Mindy. Hello. Good morning, Tashi. You are up early. Thanks for joining us.
Mary's laughing at the treats that you got out. The snacks.
So, you know, the other thing I want to thank you for, many of you, Vicky, I know you're on here. Patty, Florida, you're probably on here. I can't see a screen.
She is.
But the way you guys have liked, comment, shared our post is amazing. And Patty, you're like the world's best cheerleader. It's important. Facebook, we have 8,500 followers, and you know, a lot of times Facebook will only show our post to 200 people, if that. So the more you like, comment, share, Facebook shows it to more people. And at the end of the day, that translates to more people know what we do, so we can help more people. And hopefully, eventually, they can also help us when we need it. So it's very important on the Facebook algorithm. If you're scrolling by and you see one of our posts, just hit like or love or share, whatever you want to do, comment. Any type of interaction will help us, and it's a nice way to do it for free. So we talked for just a second about the YouTube, and we're gonna come back to that when we talk about our plans for next year. All of these this is our third live, and we had decided that we were gonna do 3, and then evaluate if we were gonna continue to do live streams or not every month. I'd like some real quick feedback. Do you guys like the idea that you can see the dogs and ask questions every month? Should we keep doing them, or are we wasting our time? I actually like doing them. I like you guys being able to see the dogs. So I would prefer to keep doing them, but we're only going to do it if people are interested. The one thing we're going to change is we're going to have, this is a casual coffee with the crew. I've got my coffee. One thing we're going to try and do, though, is moving forward, each live session, one per month, we're going to take 5 or 10 minutes of that live and do a little bit of an educational thing. Today we're going to talk about grief. It's a hard topic, but some of you know we lost Cooper a couple weeks ago, and I want to talk about grief and quality of life. Future things might be how you could use a bath towel or a grocery bag as an emergency sling. What's a good way to get medications for your dog who spits out the cheese because he knows there's a pill in there? We've developed a lot of tricks over the years, and so we want to take 5 or 10 minutes and see if we can't give you some good advice.
So a lot of comments are saying, I love seeing the lives. Yes, with lots of exclamation points. Keep doing the lives. Okay. I love seeing the dogs.
Good. So the feedback is good for the lives. I'm going to see if I can get Miss Journey to come a little closer because she's so beautiful.
Well, that would be good because Kayla says, we love Journey.
Of course, they're going to crowd her out. Journey, why don't you come over here, girlfriend?
And I'm seeing lots of hearts and thumbs floating up.
You can see the back of Journey's head. When these guys move, maybe if Mom gives them some treats over there, I'll move Journey closer to the camera. Get your mom, guys. I'm sorry, these guys are wound up today, and it's the first time we're doing it inside. It's so cold outside, and we've got a storm coming. We had to move inside for this today. Look out, Finny Fin. Go get by the couch, guys. Come here, Journey. I'm just going to slide you, bub. Come over here. There you go. That's my Journey. Now you got your spot. Okay, now you should be able to see Journey. She's so beautiful. I'm sorry. Hey, I got it back here, buddy. I'm biased, I know, but I love Journey. I love all these guys. Journey's a little slower on eating. Okay, so that's a thumbs up on the lives, and I really appreciate the interaction. The entire point of these live broadcasts is to give you guys an opportunity, not just to see the dogs, but to ask questions. Whatever the questions are, you can ask about specific dogs, you can ask about the rescue. You may have a dog that's going blind and you want to know about touch cues or want to talk to a blind and deaf dog trainer. We can help with that, okay? We get, 2 years ago is the last year I actually measured it, but we had, in 1 year, we had over 1,300 requests for assistance. That includes surrendering dogs, asking for medical advice, which is the most common, and it's just insane. So we're going to throw some education in these. Maybe we can help you as well. So let's talk about Cooper for a minute, all right? Most of you saw pictures of Cooper. We didn't have a lot of good video because he was struggling. He was with us for about 7 weeks when we had to say goodbye to him. And I got to tell you, and Jenny Taylor, if you're on here, this is good information. And several of you I know are struggling with older pets. We've been doing rescue for 10 years. I'm going to be 60 next year. I'm 59. I've had dogs all my life. I have lost a lot of dogs, and it's never easy. In the last 10 years, as a special needs rescue, we lose a lot more dogs than the average person because, let's face it, by their very nature, these special needs dogs that come in, like Fenny and Wyatt, and all of them, they're not what you would say are typically healthy. So we have to say goodbye to a lot of them. Cooper was a really hard one for me. We've been doing this long enough that, good job, Roxanne. This is my little Bahama girl.
Debbie says talk a little louder.
Okay, so Cooper was a very, normally it's easy for me to know when the quality of life has declined through medical issues, age, what have you. It's a clear decision for me to make. It's usually pretty easy in terms of their condition, not easy in the heart. Cooper was a hard one for me. Even though he was only here for 7 weeks, we bonded very deeply and very quickly. And I knew I could not be objective in deciding when it was time to end his suffering. We were in constant consultation with the vet. At the end of the day, I needed an objective way to determine his quality of life. So there's a link that Noelle's going to share. It's a quality of life worksheet. I know you can't see the worksheet here. It's 1 page of instructions, 1 page. It's a worksheet. You agree, you disagree with this condition of your dog. And this particular worksheet is based on an industry standard worksheet, veterinary industry. And you can have a total of 125 points if the dog's quality of life is great. You can have a low total of roughly 20 or 25 if it's really poor. Cooper scored a 25, both on Noelle's and on mine. We were 2 points different. But it will ask you things like, does your pet want to play? Does it interact with you like he did before? Does he enjoy the same activities as before? Is he eating well, drinking well, not moving normally, not as active as normal? Is he keeping his coat clean? These are questions that will help you determine your dog's or your other pet's overall health, so you can make a more objective decision. Noelle's got the link there for you. It's a good tool to use. This is the first time in 59 years that I've had to use it. I've known it's been out there for many, many years. I had to use it with Cooper because I was so bonded with Cooper and so wanted to see him improve. It was a hard decision, and it was the right decision because once we got the appointment scheduled, his decline was horribly fast and rough. I'm not going to go into those details. But the second part, see, Journey's looking at Mom. Don't crush Roxanne, girlfriend. She's a little dog. Which leads me to the next point, is dealing with grief, okay? I know when I see my dogs getting older or struggling, and Cooper's a great example of this. Cooper was here for 7 weeks, and it was a pretty steady decline. The worse he got, the more my heart was mourning because I knew we'd have to let him go, right? That's anticipatory grief. It is a real thing. It was in the background, in my mind, up until I made his final appointment. And then it got worse because we have an end date. We have a date for that appointment. He's still here, but that grief was very prevalent in my mind. There's Journey trademark moving. So I want to tell you that if you are mourning your pet before they're gone, that's anticipatory grief. I think any normal human being has it. So you're not alone. I deal with it, and I can't tell you how many dogs I've had to say goodbye to. So trust me, that's normal. The second part of the grief process is after they're gone. A lot of people, it's crushing. It's crushing me. I still shed tears about Cooper, but you have to balance it out. I want you to think about this for a second, and I'm going to use Cooper as an example, but you could use your own dog, okay, or your own cat, or whatever your pet is. Guesstimates right now is that there are over 8 billion people in the world, right? I had Cooper share his life with me. Cooper loved me. Cooper bonded to me. How lucky am I? There's maybe a handful of people that these dogs truly care about. And you know, as the owner, Hawkeye, get off her. You know, as the owner, that dog is all about you and sharing your time in your life and being happy with you, trusts you, wants to lay down with you. There are 8 billion people minus one out there that never get that. So as much as you have grief when you say goodbye, you got to understand, be thankful that they chose to love you and spend their life and share their life with you. You were important to them. And I always try and remember that, because it helps balance out the grief. I mean, losing these guys is hard, even for me who has to do it a lot. But I always, every single animal I've ever had, any of them, they bless me in their own certain ways. I learned something from all of them, and I am honored to have been a part of their journey and try and help them. So I want you to remember that when it comes time for you to let go of your pets. It's important.
And Julie Uxley says, it's hard to let them go, but when it's time, it's the last gift of love you can give them.
Absolutely. It is the hardest thing about loving an animal, to say goodbye, but it is also the most important. Good morning, Julie. Good to have you. Okay, so I hope that helps you understand how to make the determination that it may or may not be time, and I also hope that you can realize how blessed you were. And we're throwing treats out, so I hope you can realize, you know, as hard as it is to lose a dog, it's a blessing that they shared their life with you. Okay, very important to remember that. Not everybody gets to experience that. Very few people in the world gets to experience your animal. All right, so let's move on to lighter. But I wanted to share that. People don't talk about it enough, and I think it's important that you realize how blessed you are to have been given that gift of that animal. So, let's talk about next year. As I mentioned earlier, and if you have questions, go ahead and questions or comments, go ahead and put them in there. Noelle's going to read them to me. She's got the administrative console back behind me. But we, on average, a couple years ago, we got 1,300 requests to help dogs or their owners. And I can tell you that has only increased. I am saying no to intaking 3 to 5 dogs on a lot of days. I would say easily 10 a week. And because we have limited fosters, it's been getting worse since COVID, we have a problem. We have to be a little bit picky about the dogs we can bring into our own home. If we had 50 fosters, we could have 50 dogs in our program. So what we're going to do, we have 2 ways we're going to combat that starting in 2026. First of all, you're going to see us start a new drive for fosters, and it's going to start with education. We're going to make some simple videos that explain what fostering is, what it entails. It's going to include our dogs with before and after pictures. We're going to put some online training up. We're going to make it really easy to do everything online, and hopefully that's going to bring in some more fosters. In addition to that, on the other side of that, we're going to put the big problem. If you think you have a dog right now, the biggest problem I have two big problems that I deal with all the time. The first phone call I get is from an owner. Oh my God, my dog had an accident and now is paralyzed. I can't take care of it. What do I do? They're just in shock. They're overwhelmed, right? And in my experience, if I help them, if I give them resources, if I give them training information, care information, wheelchair manufacturers, things like that, they understand it's just different. It's a new normal. They can do this. They just have to get over that initial shock, right? So that's one of the big problems, is that initial being overwhelmed. The second part is shelters. A lot of these people will want to surrender their paralyzed or their blind puppy or whatever to the shelter. Shelters are not equipped for their care, right? Shelters are equipped for basically healthy dogs. Unhealthy dogs don't survive long in a shelter. And shelters reach out to me a lot to take paralyzed dogs, for instance, or blind dogs. So those are our two problems. The shelters get overwhelmed, and so do the owners. We're building a content system. We're gonna put online classes. We've already started creating the content. It's gonna be video-based training, similar to like Udemy and some of these other online training classes. You can't see this, but Noelle has already started making content for how to handle a paralyzed dog, how to care for a paralyzed dog. It's going to be an online video course, and it's going to have little quizzes to test your knowledge. It's going to have PDF resources that you can download, all sorts of good stuff. And it's going to be, we're going to have videos of different things, like, for instance, how to express a bladder. We're going to do a little 2 or 3 minute video. It'll be included in the course. So that's what we're doing for individual owners. We're going to direct them to this course, right? Then, for the shelters, we belong to, on a national level, Best Friends Animal Sanctuary. We also belong to an Ohio group called the Ohio Animal Welfare League. It's comprised of shelters and rescues in the animal care industry, so to speak. And we get the directors and the CEOs, and we do training, we do networking, we do all sorts of stuff. There's many members throughout Ohio, and I've made some great relationships with other shelters. So the second part of this plan is we are going to give this same type of training to shelters with a little bit of a different point of view. What we're going to try and do is teach some of these shelter folks how to reassure the owner, don't be overwhelmed. We have resources. We can help you. Kind of like an educational specialist at each shelter. They go through this little course. They've got all the resources they need. If they can't handle calming the owner down so they don't surrender to the dog, then they can refer the owner to us. So we're trying to help the end owner, the end user, and also the shelters, the intermediaries, because education is critical on this stuff. It's different when your dog's paralyzed, but it's not the end of the world. It's like if you broke a leg, you got to learn how to walk in a cast on crutches, right? Same concept. And so that's what we're going to do. And the good news is, for the individuals, caring for a handicapped dog is going to be free. For the shelters, caring for a handicapped dog before it's surrendered is going to be free. These are going to be online courses that we're going to share. They can take these courses and have all the resources they need, and it's not going to cost them anything but their time. Then we're going to make some more specialized courses. How to work with blind and deaf dog, how to deal with a diabetic dog, things like that. Much smaller audience. Those courses, we're still talking about how we're going to, those will probably be a paid course because they're much more specialized, and we have to bring in other experts to help us, which is, the last point. We have such a network of experts that I can, right off the top of my head, I could call somebody and have a specialist on dog diabetes come in and interview with me and do the training. We've got Trisha from Perfect Imperfections, the mega esophagus queen, for instance. Me with paralyzed dogs. So we have a lot of content that's going to be coming next year through our YouTube and on our website. So we hope that helps. Education, we think, is key. If we can interrupt some of that process before the owner surrenders, either to us or to a shelter, and if we can help the shelters share more resources, I think that gives the special needs dogs a lot better chance to survive.
So Patty Bacco Tempo volunteers at a shelter.
Yes.
And she has fostered dogs and foster failed with a bunch of them.
Yes, so do we.
But she has also seen the same trends that you were talking about with special needs surrenders and with senior dogs.
Yes, yes.
And her last comment is, I've heard dogs adjust more Patty in Florida says, I've heard dogs adjust more easily than humans. Is that correct?
Patty in Florida, that's a fantastic point. I'm going to come right back to it, though. Just a second. Senior dogs. We are a special needs rescue, but we, in the past, have brought in senior dogs for hospice. I consider that a special need. I think these dogs deserve a good retirement. And, you know, if we have to bend the rules a little bit to bring in a senior for hospice, we will. So, senior and special needs, but seniors are we're pretty specific about that. It depends on the dog and the situation, okay? We have brought in perfectly healthy seniors because their stuff just went to pot, and so they needed a place to land, and here we are. So, Patty, you said that dogs adjust much better than people. I think you are 100% correct. A perfect example is Roxanne. She's right off camera down here. You can't see her, but Roxanne is a tripod. And we've had several dogs come through here that had to have the amputations and become a tripod. To the dogs, it's no big deal. That sounds crazy to say. People don't believe me. But I'm telling you, any dog we've had to have an amputation on, it wakes up in the morning and says, oh, I got 3 legs, but I still want to go over there. So it goes. It doesn't sit and mope and whine. Like a person can sometimes feel like a victim of the same situation. If I lost a leg, it would be hugely traumatic to me. Guaranteed. But I'm telling you, we had to clean up Roxanne's amputation. She's missing her back leg back here. It doesn't faze these guys. They are amazingly resilient, and they do not get a victim syndrome, is what I call it. They don't feel they're victims. They just deal with what they're given. If you look at how Journey moves, I think she's beautiful. I don't really see some of their special needs or what some people would call defects. But she doesn't let that slow her down. You see Fen doesn't walk great. She's not slowed down. I think I think you hit the nail on the head there, Patty. We project internally a lot more on the dogs or the cats than what they feel. I don't see, even a dog that has become newly paralyzed, yeah, there's some adjustment to the different care routine or being in a wheelchair, but I'll tell you what, I put dogs in a wheelchair and some of them I can't catch. They go so fast in the chair. They love it. They don't sit there and, oh, I'm paralyzed, I'm not going to do anything. No, they get in that cart, they go like hell, excuse the language. Mila will go through anybody. And we've had other dogs in wheelchairs that are just grease lightning. Roxanne, tripod, doesn't need a chair, but she's grease lightning. She's fast. So yeah, you're right. The dogs adapt much better than humans in a lot of cases.
Gina Braun says we learn a lot from our pets.
Yes, Gina, I agree with that. Every single dog I've had come through our rescue, I learned from. Excuse me. So yeah, you're right, Patty. They adapt pretty well, and we can help them. They're better at adapting than we are, but we can also assist by, they can pick up on your emotions. If you're feeling guilty because your dog is now paralyzed or had to lose a leg, and they're going to pick up on that by the way you treat them. So, yeah, there's a certain level of care and sympathy you have to give them, but don't make them feel like a victim, because they're not. They don't see it that way.
Patty in Florida says, my tripod ran and played like a nut.
Absolutely. We've had several tripods here. Roxanne, the most recent. And they're insane. I mean, she's grease lightning when she goes. But yeah. So that's our plan for next year. Now,
Defender K9 says, hi, John. Nola is a great example. She's missing both of her front legs, and she still gets around.
yes, Tiffany, good to see you. And as a matter of fact, I almost reached out to you the other day. Tiffany's going to yell at me. Tiffany runs Defender K9 dog training thing. And she also, I see lately, is now starting to do some training with touch cues with blind and deaf dogs. We brought a dog named Nola, a pit bull, up from Mississippi or Louisiana a few years ago. It was born without front legs, so it had a front-wheel drive cart. Tiffany, her husband, are near Columbus. They volunteered to foster, so we brought Nola up, and she did so good there that they fell in love with her, and they've had Nola for a few years now. And it's great because one of the things that Defender K9 does, what Tiffany does, is she has done boarding in the past. We have had private discussions in reference to boarding of special needs dogs, since they're so hard to find boarding for, because most vets aren't used to dealing with them, most kennels aren't used to dealing with them. Tiffany owns a special needs dog, and because of the dog training and her boarding facility, she's a good option if you're near Columbus, Ohio, and need to find a short-term boarding facility. And I'm sorry, guys, the weather's killing me lately. One of the interesting things, Tiffany, is I was going to reach out to you. Yesterday, I got an email from a lady, Tiffany, has a pit bull born without front legs, looks almost exactly like Nola, a little younger. They had tried 4 or 5 different times to print a 3D wheelchair, to make their own wheelchair for the dog, and it just didn't work out. So she was looking, she had seen Nola's picture on Rescued Rollers, and said, where did you get that cart? Can you give me some resources? So some of the resources we shared was K9 Carts, who made Nola's cart, Eddie's Wheels, who does front wheel drive carts, and 3D Prints, or 3D Pets, who is, excuse me, they make 3D printed wheelchairs. But this dog reminded me so much of Nola. And those resources, those front wheel drive manufacturers, those are hard to find. So those are some of the things that we're going to put in those resource packets for shelters and for these owners. They're gonna get a 50-page booklet or workbook. They're gonna be able to see the text online, download a bunch of reference files, watch videos. I mean, we really want to be able to help. But I thought of Nola a lot this week when I was working with that, Tiffany. I'm glad to see it. And tell Nola I said hi.
So, comment from Christy King Harness. As a dog owner of a little guys with no front legs, I couldn't agree more.
Excuse me. Christy!
On how dogs adapt to their disability.
Christy, thanks for joining us. Are you the person I did the email with this week? Lieutenant Dan is your pit bull?
And then,
the name rings a bell.
And then, while she's responding, Gina Braun asks, what is Fenn's story? I see she has weakness in her back end.
Yes, this is Fenny. Fenny, yes, I'm talking to you.
And you're correct. Christy says, yes, thank you for those contacts.
You're welcome. I'm glad you got them. I was hoping it wouldn't go to your spam folder. Okay, what is Fenn's story? Fenn is a special little dog. Excuse me, I'm sorry. A few years ago, I got an email from a shelter down in, I can't remember if it was Tennessee or Virginia. I want to say it was Tennessee. Little puppy thrown out of a moving car in a parking lot, a hospital parking lot, and it damaged her back end. Somebody saw it happen and took the dog to the vet. It ended up at the local shelter. The shelter asked me for help because they They're not capable of dealing with a handicapped, paralyzed dog. And I have to say this, what convinced me to help, this was amazing. You know, some shelters are better than other shelters when I work with them, right? This guy sent me a video. She was a little puppy. She's probably 3-4 months old at the time. They went to Walmart. They bought some paint sticks, you know, paint stir sticks, and they bought a little kid's shopping cart about 6 inches high, a plastic one. They cut the cart, they put the sticks on, they made her a wheelchair out of that cart right in the shelter office, and they sent me video of her, and she was doing fantastic in this little homemade cart. And so she came to us. When she came to us, she could not really walk on her own. She would scoot a lot. Now, 2 years later, she's on her feet about 95% of the time. You may notice a little abrasion on her right hip. When she gets excited, she scoots. Fast as lightning when she scoots. And that's what the abrasion is from. We're doing everything we can on that one. So last December-ish, excuse me, last December-ish, Fen is also incontinent. She does not know when she has to urinate or defecate until it's actually happening. So she's going all over the house, by the way. I try not to use, we have several incontinent dogs. I don't use diapers unless I take them out in public because, especially with the female dogs, if they're wearing a diaper, it really increases the chances of UTI, right? Whether they poop or whether they pee in the diaper, it holds up against them. They're prone to UTIs. And I'd rather not deal with that. I'd rather just clean the carpets every day because we have several. So last year, about December, we had an adopter drive all the way up from Virginia and spend the weekend here with Fen. And Fen fell in love with her. So Fen went back to Virginia. She was adopted from us. And this lady did amazing things with Fen, and Fen loved her. Unfortunately, the lady suffered a back injury. And because you had to pick up Fen to carry her down steps or put a diaper on her, this woman could no longer care for her. She tried for a couple months, and she fell with Fen several times. And, you know, we didn't want either one of them getting injured. So she called me, and we agreed to bring her back. And I mentioned Karen from Keystone Small Animal Transport. Hang on, folks, I'm going to grab a cough drop. Hopefully it won't interfere with what I'm saying. We called Karen at Keystone Small Animal Transport. She happened to be down in the area of Virginia, and she got Fen to us the next day. And, you know, let me brag on this. Fen is very nervous around people, right? No, this one's for me, guys. Karen was sending updates and everything. The last night of the trip, Fen was the last dog in the cargo van, right? She got Fen out and she slept on the floor with Fen, and Fen was loving it. And they shared, I think it was a fish sandwich from McDonald's or Long John Silver's. This is the kind of treatment that Karen gives these dogs. Fen is scared of everybody, but she was all loving on Karen. So anyway, Fen's back. We've had zero interest in Fen since then. Fen is so happy here and comfortable with our dogs. She's now a sanctuary dog. She's technically available for adoption, but she's so people selective, she'd have to pick the person.
Keystone says Fen is awesome, and
Yeah.
Cheryl Kraft says she's done so much better. It's amazing to see how far she's come.
Yeah, and that's a lot of practice. You know, the ramp, we have a wheelchair ramp in the backyard for the dogs, in case you're not aware of it. The ramp is great therapy for these guys. We have a lot of experience in doing physical therapy. We can do cold laser treatments here. We do pulse DMF. We do physical therapy with certain dogs. We're in a very rural area, and so to go to a specialist is a good hour and a half, 2 hours away, and it kills a whole day, which is, and we have a small budget, so it's difficult. We do as much as we can for these dogs in our own home, or for our fosters that are in other houses. Ranger, our first paralyzed wheelchair dog, in order to stop his atrophy, his loss of muscle mass from not using his back legs, he's a wheelchair dog. We had a lifting harness, right? You've seen lifting harnesses, one on their shoulders, one on their butt, so you can hold them up. We got a human treadmill and built a frame around it that we could attach his harness to. So I could put him on the treadmill. This frame would keep him in a standing position. We could walk the treadmill while I worked his legs. I didn't have to hold him up while I was doing it. So we try and get creative, but any of the dogs that need therapy, we do that. We're lucky. Most of our dogs are good with the other dogs, and so you'll see Fen play a lot. And that's her over here. The wrestling, the running, it's all great therapy for them. The ramp is great because it's an incline. They don't need to do steps. You know, a lot of times we'll practice going up and down the ramp. We'll make it a game. They love it. So, what else would you like to know? We've got another 15 minutes that we're happy to talk. I was going to bring a food puzzle out for Fen, but these guys are too wound up this morning. It's not a good idea. So we'll just do a separate puzzle for Fen later. This is Fenny. That's Roxy. They could be sisters from another mother. Nothing wrong with little black dogs. I love them. And I'll tell you, the person that asked about Fen, I have never in my life seen a dog that tries so hard to please. If she knows what you want from her, she will do it. She's absolutely amazing. She's a sweet, sweet dog. And man, she tries hard. It totally redeems her incontinence. Because she can't help it, right? It's medical, not behavioral. So you can't really get mad. You can get frustrated. But she does. She tries. Ooh, Hawkeye, you staring at the camera? You want your 5 minutes of fame? So, I have a question for you guys since we don't have any questions coming in.
Cheryl has a comment about us being creative
Cheryl.
with Cheryl Craft.
Thank you.
With the swimming box for Mila to help with her water therapy.
Yes. We actually, in being creative, that's something we're going to address during these educational programs we're putting together. Sometimes if you're not near a specialist, you have to be creative. You can do a lot on your own if you think outside the box. Mila came to us about 4.5 years ago. It's almost 5 years. Little autistic ragdoll, for lack of a better word. Couldn't stand, couldn't even hold her head up to eat. We had to hold her head while she was eating or drinking, right? So in order to try and get her stronger, we did two things. We went to Tractor Supply and bought it's called a stock trough. You can put food or water in it for your animals on a farm. It holds 300 gallons of water. It's about 3 foot wide and 8 foot long. We filled it with water. We got Mila a little life jacket, and we started doing water therapy on it, on Mila. And if you do a search on our Rescued Rollers Facebook page, the videos are there of her. There's a post. Just search on Mila or search on water therapy. We'll have to find that and add that to our YouTube as well, because it's a great video. So that was one way you can get creative. You can do your own water therapy at home. But we also did what I call a walk box. One of Mila's biggest problems is motor control and balance, but we needed to build her muscle strength, right? So I took two 8 foot long boards. They're only about 10 inches high, 8 feet long, and I put them on the ground like this, next to each other, about 10 inches apart, with brackets to hold them there. So in effect, it was just like a little bowling alley. We would put Mila in there. She could lean against the wall, and we would bring treats. And so she'd walk the entire way to get the treat. And that was one way we helped her develop her motor coordination and muscle strength. I call it a walk box. I don't know if there's a real name for it or not. I just thought in my head, I'm making this because it's going to help. So part of what we're going to do with these educational things is it's okay to be creative. Sometimes it's a great thing. You just got to make sure it's kosher with your vet first.
So Patty in Florida has a comment. She says, I love the education you will be doing.
Great. Thank you, Patty.
And Gina Braun asks, how many dogs do you have currently?
Gina, currently we have 8. our house. That number changes all the time, obviously. We just lost Cooper a week or two ago. And fosters come and go, adoptions come and go. We typically don't like to have this many in our home. It's a lot. And it's a full-time job for me to take care of them, right? We are foster-based, but in the last few years, it's been more and more difficult to find fosters. So that's one of the reasons, starting in probably late January, by the time we get the information put together, we're gonna start looking for more fosters. We're gonna make it a lot easier. We cover all the expenses. We offer all the support and training. We have a video on our YouTube channel. If you look, fostering a dog, and then there's one about blind and deaf dogs that I took some time. Our next door neighbors fostered 2 blind and deaf dogs for us, and they ended up failing on both. They adopted both dogs, Crash and Iris. Crash came to us from Perfect Imperfections up in Connecticut, and Iris came from a breeder in Pennsylvania, both blind and deaf, and they're right next door, so I get to interact with them all the time, which is great. And a couple of years ago, we sat down with Vicky on her front porch and talked about how the foster program worked. The fact that we brought in an expert blind and deaf dog trainer named Deb Bauer. We did one-on-one sessions for our fosters. We did some videos of them. We've got a fenced-in training area in the back of our properties, and we did some examples of what a touch cue is. It's basically sign language for a blind dog. You just touch them so they can feel the sign. So we're hoping, I don't want to see this number grow. We took Cooper in. We made an exception for Cooper. This year we were kind of doing status quo because we didn't have fosters available. Cooper needed to be here. But that's not something that we don't want to keep growing in our house. We have neighbors, and thankfully they both understand what's going on with the dogs, because some of our dogs can be loud. The 2 German Shepherds are loud. We have a few dogs here that came from the shelters. For the new people, Roxanne is all the way from the Bahamas. She came here for medical treatment that she could get. She came up on the Pot Cake Express. You could search that on our site. She came up with a group of 4. Wyatt's hunchback dwarfism. He's off camera. Hawkeye, we were told he was deaf. He's not deaf. Journey has bad spine and no hips. Fan's got the mobility issues. Mila has... Mila's diagnosis, by the way, when I said she was an autistic ragdoll, we thought she had hydrocephalus, water on the brain. Turns out she had hypoplasia. Half of her brain did not grow. So she's got one half of the brain that's normal size, one that's much smaller, and they're asymmetrical. So that's the cause of all of Mila's problems. And we've got Xena, who is a German Shepherd from our local Humane Society. She has an autoimmune disorder called PANIS. It's basically her immune system attacks her eyes, and it causes scar tissue, and she'll go blind. So she's on 2 different eye drops twice a day for that. And we have Sarge, who is also a German Shepherd from the local Humane Society. He was an abuse case from a puppy mill situation with hip and spine injuries. And so those are the sanctuary dogs. The tough dogs that need extensive care, like Mila, or that have to have a ramp, like Journey. Journey cannot do one single stair, because she'll fall. Those difficult dogs that need the equipment that we have, they come to us as sanctuary dogs until we find the right home. We're set up. You can see we got traction rugs all over the house where the dogs go. We've got the wheelchair ramp. We've got safety gates everywhere. So I don't like to talk about the numbers of the dogs that we have, because it depends on what the dog needs. But there's your answer. So while we're waiting for another comment, because we've got another 5 or 10 minutes if you'd like, I want you to think about what kind of educational topics you would like to hear from us, because the main part of this live every month is to allow you to see the dogs and ask questions that you normally wouldn't have the chance to interact with us for. So, you know, if you want to see about bladder expression, or if you want me to talk about caring for a diabetic dog or a dog with seizures, we're going to take about 10 minutes out of each of these monthly coffee with the crew going forward and have a little, this is how you do it session. So that way you spend your time with us, but you're getting something in return. You can get some education as well. So start thinking about that. Send us a message or leave a comment. As time goes on, I'm just, at this point, what I'm doing is I'm picking common topics that come up during the month, and that's what we're going to talk about for the following month. I want to keep it very casual and, you know, not too structured, but I do want to offer something educational every time. That's my plan. And I wish you could see these guys wrestling, but if I touch that camera, things are going to go haywire again. All right. Do we have any last questions? I guess this will be the last call for questions. I would say, please, if you don't mind, hit that link for the YouTube channel and just hit subscribe. I don't care if you watch it or not. We're just starting to build the channel. I'm going to be adding more to it every week. And a lot of fun, easy, short stuff. But the plain fact of the matter is, we're not going to be able to utilize YouTube really well until we get more than 50 subscribers.
Patty in Florida said supplements that are proactive in avoiding joint problems as they age would be a topic she'd like to see more about in a future session.
I'd be happy to do that, Patty. And I'll tell you two that you can remind me of. We'll bring it up another time. Turmeric golden paste. We've got a recipe on our website for that. You can search turmeric golden paste on our website. Has been a miracle thing for us. And then joint supplements that have green lip mussels in it are very good.
And Cheryl Kraft, are there things that you do to keep all the dogs getting along?
Yes. Cheryl, that's a fantastic question. Are there things we do to keep all the dogs getting along? Great question, because sometimes there's conflicts. One of the biggest things we do, we don't intentionally crate train. However, each of our dogs, for instance, is fed in their crate. That crate becomes their safe space. The doors are closed when they're eating. They're open the rest of the time. We don't crate them when we leave, just when they eat, to stop resource guarding.
Yep.
Now, can't do that with Mila, obviously. I can't do that with Journey because of her. She can't get into a crate. So Journey she's back in my office in the clinic where I take care of the dogs medically. And we close the door. And Wyatt sits and eats in the kitchen. The other dogs eat in their crates. So we do little things like that, yeah. And we pay attention to personality conflicts. We're very good at reading the body language, so we try and interrupt problems before it happens. Not always successful, but usually. You know, and last but not least, we've had dogs here that don't get along with other dogs. So we do a crate and rotate. So Xena, for instance, she cannot be outside the same time Hawkeye is out because Xena will start a fight with Hawkeye. And so what we do is Xena is crated when Hawkeye's out in the yard. And then when it's Xena's turn, we bring Hawkeye in, shut him in the house, and we take Xena out. So we keep them separate. Sometimes it's as simple as using a baby gate, and that's enough. So there's a lot of different solutions depending on how severe it becomes. But most of our guys were lucky.
And Keystone Animal Transport suggests for future educational topic conversations, skincare issues for the dogs, pressure points, diaper rash, incontinent care, etc.
Yes, absolutely, that's on the list because I know you deal with it, and it's something we deal with a lot with paralyzed dogs. So we'll talk about hygiene and abrasions like Fen has on her hip and pressure sores. That's a great topic. Thank you, Karen.
Julie Uxley, I just have to say, watching the dogs and hearing them play is helping those people like me who have had a recent loss of their own.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have losses. We just lost Cooper. It's hard. Yeah, I have a treat pouch. That's the problem here. How about Hawkeye's fluffy butt, huh? You got a marshmallow butt. Yeah, you know, here's the other thing, Julie, and this applies to everybody, Julie, but since you brought it up, I'm going to say it to you. Julie just lost her cat, Wesley, recently to a heart issue. What I would say, Julie, is, you know, like Cooper. I just lost Cooper. A lot of people don't want to jump into another pet right away. And I think that's okay. We all have to do what works for us. But I think Cooper would want me to make his bed available for another dog that needs help. If I helped him, he would want me to turn around and pass it on to another one. So, you know, when it comes to the grief, take your time and process it however you need to process it, because we're all different. But, you know, don't close the door permanently. If you're going to close the door, make it temporary, because I think if we put ourselves in our animal shoes, what would Cooper want? What would Wesley want? I think the answer is obvious. But I'm glad interacting with our dogs is making you feel better. It helps me. Journey and all these guys, but Journey specifically, I smile every day because she is such a big goofball, but she's always happy. I'm blessed to have every one of these dogs, regardless of the work. And Cheryl, I'll say this on record, Cheryl Kraft, I always told you that Mila was the hardest dog I've had in terms of work. Cooper has her beat. The last 4 weeks with Cooper, he was far more work than Mila. So Mila's got the title back now that Cooper's gone. But it was rough. It was rough. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. But yeah, so Mila's got the title back. Okay, folks, I guess we're going to say goodbye so that we can get these guys all rotated before the storm moves in. Thank you so much for joining us and for the interaction. I really, really enjoy it. And I hope you're enjoying it as well.
One last question before we go. Patty Bacco Temple wants to know, how do the dogs deal with the loss of another dog?
Patty, you know, in general, Patty wants to know how our dogs deal with the loss of another dog, in this case, Cooper. It's interesting. We've had 3 losses in the last year and a half. We've had Ginny and Hope and Cooper, right? And Ginny and Hope were here 5 and 7 years versus Cooper's 7 weeks. These dogs, our dogs, they tend to know when somebody is sick. And so they become a little bit more respectful. Their behavior changes a little bit. If you're paying attention, you can notice it. They definitely knew that Cooper was sick. They let me put all my time and effort into Cooper, and they weren't troubled by that. Normally they get jealous. When Ginny started getting worse, these guys gave her more space and gave me more time with Ginny. And the same thing with Hope. In terms of grief, that's a hard one for me to quantify. I think dogs grieve just like people do, but in a different way. They tend to recover quicker. When we lost our Josie, who used to be the head of the pack, Hawkeye, who's now our alpha head of the pack, Hawkeye took it hard, but he stepped right up within a couple of days, and we got the new routines established. So I think it depends on each dog. You know, the other thing I want to say, because I read it this week, and I totally agree with it, I firmly believe that some animals have mental illness similar to people. So not only do they grieve, some of them have the same thought patterns or cycles. You know, I think we can see a lot of similarities and understand still that they're dogs. They're not human, but they have the same issues we do. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. We're going to see you next month on January 10th. That's the second Saturday. We'll see you at 10 a.m. We're going to have a little bit we're going to do our stream a little bit different. You're going to see some graphics when we get started, a title page and a countdown, and hopefully it's going to help us eliminate the technical issues that we had this morning. I really apologize for that. It really caught me off guard. One of those mornings. Thank you, everybody, so much. Please like, comment, and share whatever you see on the Facebook. And if you get the chance, go check out the YouTube. It'll be growing. Right, Benny? All right, guys. Thank you. We're going to say goodbye. Have a good day.